Welcome back once again. I very much admit I need to relax. And honestly, I just wanted to play some more. So, now that we are able to move around in this big 3D space, I'm gonna talk to Rhea first. She's probably maybe not more impatient than Sedith over there, but she's probably a little more important.
I assume you are already aware that you will be teaching here at the Officers' Academy, correct?
To
start, please speak with the 3 house leaders. You should also take a look around the academy and acquaint yourself with your new home. That is your first task here at the monastery. Please let me know if you accept it. Once you have finished, come and speak with me.
Let me know
May I ask a favor of you?
Let me know if you accept it, but let me know when you're done. You should speak with every student you can. This might be your only chance to see what they're like before you become a professor. Speak to the 3 house leaders and gather information about the students in each house. The students can be found in the reception hall on the 1st floor and throughout the Officers' Academy. I'll get a little bit of money plus a vulnerary and an iron sword. Vulnerary. Quests are, they're pretty self-explanatory. I can go in here and see what quests I have. There's gonna be a lot more. Advisory room. I guess you would probably come here if you wanted to speak with Rhea, or if you had, some sort of meeting with her. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking upstairs. I certainly hope not.
I imagine you were a bit surprised that I recommended you as a professor here. Frankly, we had someone else in mind for the role, but they ran off during our dust-up with the bandits. Can't entrust students to someone who's abandoned them once before.
You can definitely hear him.
You saved the lives of the students you came across.
That,
at least, was admirable.
I'm going
you
to
should make the rounds.
be
Go
back
around the
in a
monastery
second.
And see that you greet everyone.
I'm gonna go quiet him down. Alright, sorry about that. I'm gonna need to, unfortunately, cut that out a little bit, but it's fine. We have our objective. Let's go minimap. Minimap is in the corner. Yeah, you can see general information. This is the reception hall. This is where no, never mind. I was about to say. This is probably where you can hang out, meet people. Hello, Edelgard.
So, you've accepted a teaching position here. Pity. I was hoping you would lend your strength to the Empire. I never properly introduced myself, did I? My name is Edelgard von Hresvelg. I am the princess and heir apparent of the Dresden Empire. I wonder if you'll be tasked with leading the Black Eagles. I hope you've had a chance to meet everyone. Would you like to know more about any of the Black Eagles?
You can definitely hear the construction going on outside, so I apologize for that. But let's get some information about some of the characters, and hopefully my voice will drown out any of the construction going on directly outside.
Me? Well, some think I'm a bit distant, arrogant even, but there's little to be done. One day I must rise to become Adrestia's next emperor. What else? Well, it seems to me that we may have similar personalities.
Here is where I will probably go over a lot of the information in this game. That's not what I meant to do, but hey, you can get a good old look at Edelgard. There's a lot of stats and such in this game. Like, there's the stats that you can see on the left, there's the class, HP, experience, etc. A lot of information that I can go over generally here and can go over in more detail later. But just most of these stats, if, again, you've played Fire Emblem before, you're probably familiar with. Dex and Luck might be the odd ones out, but not Dex and Luck, Dex and Charm. I always say Charisma, but it's Charm, I believe, is the actual stat. Dex, I actually don't 100% remember what it does in this game. I remember what it does in Dark Deity, but I don't remember what it does in Three Houses. Whereas Charm I know is for a mechanic that we're not going to really be going into very much right now. We can't do much with it now, but just know that Charm is actually fairly important. And now for strengths and weaknesses and defining ability. The defining ability, you know, like other Fire Emblem games, probably more the newer ones. I don't honestly know about the older ones, but every unit can get certain abilities. I'm sure you're familiar with some Astra. I can't think of any more off the top of my head, honestly. But each unit, I believe, like Fire Emblem Fates, each individual unit has a special ability, essentially, that only they have, to an extent. All three of the house leaders, Edelgard, Dimitri, and Claude, gosh, I don't know what's up with my head today, each have essentially the equivalent of this ability, Imperial Lineage. It multiplies their experience by 1.2, just giving them a little extra experience in other units. It's fine. I think the other abilities are more useful overall, but I mean, it's good. I won't complain at all. And then we have the strengths and weaknesses here. You see the strengths, and that essentially boils down to when a unit is trying to learn a certain weapon or skill or something, this is what they will... They gain, like, a slight boost to, like, being taught those specific things. So Edelgard, if you want to teach her to use swords, she's pretty good at that. If you want to teach her to use axes, she's pretty good at that. The flag represents authority. That's also something that we will need to go over later, because it's not something we can really worry about too much now. And then there's heavy armor, which doesn't do much on its own, except basically just give you what you need in order to get into classes that require heavy armor, say like, you know, an armored knight or something of that sort. And weaknesses, well, it doesn't mean that you can't go into them. That's something that I find very fascinating about this game, is that you could technically make any unit, any class you wanted. If you wanted to make, I don't know, someone who runs in and just swings a weapon around and just does what he can to just be in the thick of things and do damage, you could have him stay back and cast healing spells if you really wanted to. That's something that you are perfectly capable of doing. And that's the same with Edelgard here. You can see what her strengths are, but that doesn't necessarily mean that if you wanted to make her use a bow, or the white book there means that she isn't as good at white magic, faith-based magic. Usually things like healing. And as we go through, you'll see that the different characters have different strengths and weaknesses. Like here we have Hubert.
Hubert is the heir of Marquis Vestra. He has served me since I was a child. You may think his blood runs a bit cold, but actually that's rather accurate. Still, if you can get past that, you'll see he's quite astute and reasonable.
And here we have Hubert. You can see his stats that he's going to be starting out with there on the left, and on the right you can see his personal ability, which +5 might when using gambits, which we don't have access to right now, so it's unfortunately not going to be much use for us. His strengths is bows, dark and black magic, which there is a very minor difference, but we'll get a small look at what makes it so different. And as we saw with the flag with Edelgard, we have authority as one of his strengths. For his weaknesses, he's not very good at axes or faith magic, and he's not very good with flyers either. So things like a Pegasus Knight or a Wyvern Rider, which for him would only be a Wyvern Rider, because just to say just to let it out there, male characters can only be Wyvern Riders, but female characters can be Wyvern Riders or Pegasus Knights.
For some reason, he thinks of me as a bitter rival and is always trying to challenge me. It's terribly irritating. His house is that of Duke Iron, which produces Adrestia's prime ministers. That family is perhaps too pleased with its own status.
I am Ferdinand von Eyre, and here we have an example of a character who really has no weakness, at least when it comes to stats and such. His regular stats are fine. There's nothing like that stands out like they did with Edelgard and Hubert, but he's good with swords, lances, axes, basically all of the physical weapons, and as well as riding, so you might think to put him on a horse at some point. Linhart.
He's remarkably intelligent, but he only wishes to apply himself to tasks that particularly interest him, and nothing else. He's also fond of, well, napping. If he had any work ethic or sense of duty to speak of, I suppose he would be destined to become an official of the Empire.
And here we have Linhart, who I will just go ahead and say is possibly one of my personal favorite healers in the game. I won't get too into that because, well, we're not choosing this house. I'll go ahead and say that now. We're not choosing the Black Eagles, despite the fact that this was the first time that I personally, or the first house that I personally chose. His defining ability is Catnap, where if he takes no actions and just chooses to use the wait option, he restores a little bit of HP, which is not bad if he isn't in dire need to help someone and doesn't really have much else to do. His strengths are black and dark magic plus faith magic, and he's not very good at axes or unarmed, which is a weapon type that you're probably not familiar with either if you've played the other Fire Emblem games. Kaspar, also known as Kaspar when I first started playing.
He's the second son of Count Bergles. He has no inheritance in his future, which is perhaps why he's always so eager to prove himself. He's overly energetic and rushes headfirst into any battle. If he ends up in your care, be sure to keep a close eye on him.
He's fun, just in general, honestly. I think his personality and gung-ho attitude is just a lot of fun. Born Fighter is his ability, which means that if a foe is next to him, they have less avoidance than they normally would, which is very good if you're trying to fight someone who you're struggling to try to hit. His strengths are things we've seen before, axes and unarmed. No, brawling, I think is what it's called. Excuse me. His weaknesses are bows, magic, dark and black, with authority as well. Gotta stick it to the man, I guess. Bernadetta.
She's Count Varley's only daughter. I suppose you could say she's a bit eccentric, but she seems like a gentle soul. I believe she shut herself away in her quarters and doesn't care to leave, but don't worry, I'll make sure she finds her way to class.
She has a lot of weaknesses, and none of her stats are that standout. Persecution Complex is her personal skill, which isn't too bad. Especially late, I imagine you're probably not going to have a lot of your units at full health all the time, and Bernadetta is one of those that, you know, you might want to not full heal up all the time. She has strength in lance and bow, which, for those who aren't aware, is something you might want to get her into if you can. While her weaknesses are sword, axe, brawling, and heavy armor, so she's not gonna enjoy being put into a big old tin can. Dorothea.
Few commoners have joined the Black Eagle House, but Dorothea is an exception. She's a songstress from a famous opera company in the Empire. I'm not entirely sure what brought her to the Officers' Academy.
Dorothea, her defining ability is Songstress, which, if any ally stands next to her at the end of a turn, at the start of the next one, is that just a plain old watch? Whatever. She restores a bit of their HP, which is actually not too bad. Can I can't zoom in. Well, you get a chance to look at her weaknesses, I'm sure. And Petra.
To the west of Fodlan is an archipelago called Brigid. Petra is the granddaughter of their king. Brigid is a vassal state of the Empire, which is how she came to be enrolled here. She's incredibly smart and studious.
Petra is actually honestly probably up there on some of my favorite characters. Hunter's Boon is her defining ability, which you're probably not going to get much use out of if it's not, say, like, on a boss. But when it is on a boss, that can actually hurt pretty bad. Plus 20 crit is pretty significant. Her strengths are swords, axes, bows, and flying, while her weaknesses is excuse me, while her weaknesses is basically any magic. And that's all of the Black Eagles. We can look around. There's some people just sort of talking right now. Can I talk to you? I can't talk to you, apparently. If you see that guy anywhere, you can't go... Yeah, you just saw for a second. Oh, and here's everyone's favorite character.
Greetings! You must be the new professor. What a pleasure. As for me, my job is to stand here at this glorious entrance and leisurely watch over the comings and goings of everyone. Make folks smile, you know? And by that, I mean to vigilantly guard this entrance with my very life. No levity whatsoever. As of now, Nothing to report.
Everyone loves the gatekeeper.
Yes.
He's just fun, honestly. Also, while I didn't really go over it, if you pass by some of these students,
Yes.
every single one of them is talking about one of the main characters. Some of the characters, Bernadetta, Kaspar, a few others that we haven't gotten a chance to meet quite yet. And here's where... There's our boy. Scored a teaching gig, eh? Yeah, I would say so. But we're gonna save him for last. We're gonna talk to Dimitri.
Please accept my apologies for the other day. You came to our aid, yet I hadn't even the courtesy to properly introduce myself. I am Dimitri Alexandra Blaithid, Crown Prince of the Holy Kingdom of Fargas.
He said... Hang on. Let me play it again.
I am Dimitri Alexandra Blaithid. I am Dimitri Alexandra Blaithid.
Yeah, that's... If you're gonna struggle with names in this game, I'm not gonna put it against you. There's a few names that you just really wouldn't think that's how it's pronounced. There is no... I'm sure it's a cultural thing, like maybe his name is based off of a name from another language or something, so that's why it's pronounced that way, but there's no... Because he pronounces it Blaithid. And there's no, like, TH. You know what I'm trying to say.
Of course, at the Academy, I am simply a student. And I've heard word that you are to become a professor here. Delightful news. I still have much to learn, but I'm confident I could benefit greatly from your guidance. In any case, welcome to the monastery. I hear you're investigating the different houses here. Did any of the blue lions catch your attention?
Let's find out.
Me? Oh, please forgive me. It's difficult to open up on the spot, don't you think? I'm afraid my story has not been a pleasant one. I do hope that doesn't color your view of me, but I understand if that can't be helped.
Dimitri's a nice guy. His stats are... alright. I like him just fine. Once again, that charm coming in, you're probably gonna get that with all of the house leaders, and like I said with Edelgard, his defining ability is getting a multiplier on his experience. His strength is sword, lance, and authority, while his weaknesses are axes and black and dark magic. Dedu.
Dedu was born in Dusker, and has been loyally working in my service for the past 4 years. He's rather taciturn, but once you get to know him, you'll see he's a kind and good-natured young man.
You call him young man. He's your age, right? I don't remember their ages. A lot of characters are roughly around the same age. There's some of them that are slightly older, some of them that are slightly younger. If you're wondering, Dedu is 100% a tank. His defining ability is kind of similar to Linhart's, but instead of healing, he gets bonus defense for 1 turn, which can be pretty significant depending on the situation. His strengths are Lance, Axe, Brawling, and Heavy Armor, while his weaknesses are Faith Magic, Riding horses, cavalry, whatever it is, and flying. I want to say, I know Mercedes, and I'm not going to go over her now, obviously, I'm going to wait till I get to her. She's one of the older ones. I want to say Ash is kind of younger, and a character we're going to see in the Golden Deer is the youngest character.
Felix is the heir to House Fraldarius. He has a bit of a sharp tongue, but don't let that fool you. Deep down, he's a good guy. He gravitates toward people who are skilled. Perhaps you would enjoy a friendly competition with him sometime.
So, this is something that comes up for me a lot. If you want a sword user that isn't the main character, Byleth, Felix is one of the few options that you have. As I said, if you could technically have characters go into whatever route you want. But just based off of especially what they start with and a few other factors, they gravitate towards a very specific class and set of skills. Felix is one of the very, very few enemies, few allies that uses swords, again, besides Byleth. And while I'm not saying that Byleth is bad at being a sword user, Felix is one of the few. If you want other units with swords, I would definitely go Felix, because I have always enjoyed using him. Like, I'm never going to say that I haven't. But if you want something other than Byleth, take a look at Felix. If you want something with swords. Lone Wolf is his signature ability. Unit deals 5 extra damage when no battalion is assigned, or when battalion endurance is 0. Again, that's a mechanic that we don't even have access to right now, so it's not really going to help us much. But I can explain that later if I honestly even remember to explain the specific ability. But we'll go over what battalions are when we get that chance to. But at the moment, it's not even something we can do. His strengths are, as we saw, sword, bow, and brawling, while his weaknesses are dark, black magic, I don't actually remember what it's called, and authority. Ash.
He's the adoptive son of Lord Lenato of Castle Kaspar, but I hear he was born a commoner. He has an extremely earnest personality, so I'm certain he will approach your lectures with great enthusiasm.
There's nothing really too standout-ish about Ash, except for the fact that his defining ability is so good. It is so useful. The lockpick ability is something that you can only usually get on classes like the Thief, or I don't think the Assassin gets it. I don't actually remember. But you normally need those specific classes if you want to use lockpick on, a door or a chest or something like that. And the fact that Ash just gets it is absolutely excellent. And I guess I could take this opportunity to say, when you choose your house, you get all those characters within the house automatically. But that doesn't mean that you can't get other characters. If at a certain point you get access to being able to ask if a certain character wants to join your house. And they, for the most part, will decline. But if you raise your stats and increase certain skills that is affiliated with the character, like, I don't remember what they all are offhand, but like, say Ash here, he might enjoy, I don't know, dexterity and bows. Don't actually take that as what it is. I don't actually 100% remember what it is, but if you increase those stats, the skill, of course, being the one that you have control over, but the more you increase those stats, the better chance you have of getting them to actually join. So you can get other characters to join. I think Felix, as an example, you need to be good at swords, and you need to have good speed. So if Felix is someone who you are interested in getting, you definitely want to raise those stats. But it's not the end of the world if you can't get them. Sylvain.
Sylvain is the heir to House Gautier. He is a capable person who highly values his friends. That said, well, he's always been a bit of a skirt chaser, so to speak. Pardon my bluntness. I speak with him about it often, but it doesn't seem to help.
Sylvain is actually a character I kind of like. I realize I didn't go... No, I did go over Ash's ability. What am I talking about? I had a whole rant about it. Philanderer. If any female ally is adjacent, unit deals 2 extra damage and takes 2 less damage. So, definitely not a bad ability. Always makes you want to try to keep him paired up with, a female unit. His strengths are lance, axe, and riding, and his weaknesses are bows. So not really a lot of weaknesses. Mercedes.
I hear she was born to imperial nobility, but a twist of fate brought her to the kingdom. She may seem carefree on the surface, but she's actually a kind soul who pays careful attention to everyone around her.
Mercedes, live to serve is her ability, so she's actually very good if you make her a healer, and she is just useful if not only does she need healing as the healer, but she also needs to heal someone else. It helps top herself off when other units also need to be topped off as well. Her strengths are all magic, and her weaknesses are sword, lance, axe, and heavy armor. Annette.
Annette is Baron Dominic's niece. She is a talented student who scored extremely high marks at the Royal School of Sorcery. She's cheerful and hardworking. Brilliant, really. Though she can be a bit oblivious at times. I hear she caused an explosion in the kitchen last night.
Annette is weird. I love Annette. I think her personality is super fun, and she has definitely done absolutely excellent in a lot of the run-throughs of this game that I've done. That said, she's weird. You look at her defining ability, Perseverance, use Rally to grant strength +4 to an ally. I'm sure I can go over it later or can possibly try to show it off, but certain classes will get a Rally ability, and what Rally does is you have, like, we would say Annette here. Annette could run up to Byleth and use up her turn instead of attacking or using an item or anything like that. She could use Rally, which would give Byleth +4 strength. That's definitely not insignificant. I've just always felt really weird about the Rally skills. I'm sure they're useful, especially when, say, a unit can't reach an enemy in a turn. It's just always been weird. And then you look at her strengths. Authority? I mean, authority is never bad to have. Like, I'm just going to straight up say it. Authority is never a bad stat to have, ever. She's good in black and dark magic, but then she also has axes. And that's something that will come into play later. Much, much later, if you have her, of course. But I'm sure for a lot of people it feels very strange. Her weaknesses are bows and heavy armor as well. I mean, she's very small. I couldn't imagine her in heavy armor, but that might also be the fun part about it.
Ingrid is Count Galatia's daughter. She is also a childhood friend of Felix, Sylvain, and myself. She is diligent, industrious, and principled. In truth, she is more knightly than most knights you will ever meet.
Ingrid's also probably one of my favorite characters. I think she's just... I mean, she's fun enough. I probably like more characters more than her, but she's also just a lot of fun to use in battle. If you do her right. Do her right. You know what I mean. Lady Knight is her personal ability, which grants +3 might and +5 to hit with gambits, which, again, gambits are not something that we can go over right now, so we'll have to go over it later. Her strengths are swords and lances, as well as riding and flying. So she's good on a horse or a pegasus or a wyvern, and is pretty good with weapons, and she has no weaknesses. If you're going to see this, and you're going to take any advice from me whatsoever, I would 100% be very careful. If you see her, most of the time, at least from what I've seen, She basically goes straight into Pegasus Knight. I would be careful, because if you do that, from my multiple playthroughs, she just ends up having, like, more speed than she is ever going to need, and practically no strength to back it up. So, she's good. I like her. But just be careful. And I might go over how I can explain how I can help alleviate that a bit later. And that's all of the Blue Lions.
Hey!
This is the classroom of the Black Eagle House, which is for students from the Dresden Empire. Our house leader is Princess Edelgard. There are many other nobles among our ranks as well.
There's a guy in front of each of the classrooms who's basically an exposition dump. This is the Black Eagles classroom, where we can actually talk... where we can actually talk to many of the students that we are going to get to know throughout the course of this game, which is what I'm going to do.
What? I don't talk to strangers.
Bernadetta, this is no stranger. Our house leader owes this person a great debt. Is that not right?
I am Ferdinand von Eyre, legitimate son of the Eyre family, the Empire's foremost house.
I am Ferdinand von Eyre.
Are you going to join our class? I look forward to getting better acquainted with you.
Yeah, sorry, Bernie.
Well now, you don't have a familiar face. What brings you here? Oh, my name is Dorothea. Before I joined the Academy, I was a member of an opera company in the Empire. You should hear me sing sometime.
I should. I don't know why, and it's probably not going to be something I'm going to have to worry too much about, since I'm not choosing Black Eagles. I always get Dorothea's and Bernadetta's names confused, and I don't know why.
I am Hubert, a humble servant of Lady Edelgard. I heard you came to the aid of Her Highness. You have my most sincere thanks. This is Petra. She has come all the way from Brigid to study in the Empire. Back on her archipelago, she is actually a princess. In Fodlan terms, she would be called heir to the throne.
Hello, I am called Petra. I am pleased to be meeting with... I am pleased to have met you.
I love Petra. If you didn't get it from that, Petra doesn't take to the language very well. She's just learning it, and I don't know, like, the broken, I guess in this case, English, is just so interesting to watch.
Is it true that you saved Edelgard? That's incredible. The name's Kaspar, by the way. Pleased to meet you.
Linhart, goodbye.
Sheesh, Linhart. How'd you get into the academy with those manners? So, are you a student here too? Maybe we'll be in the same class.
Just maybe, but probably not.
Oh.
Hey.
I'm not going to talk to this guy. He's just going to give the expedition dump for the Blue Lions, which...
Well, well.
Hello,
it must
Sylvain.
be my lucky day today, being approached by such a beauty. I'm Sylvain Jose Gautier. Feel free to say hi whenever you like.
I'm going to be going over, again, why female Byleth
Hi
is
there.
objectively
You must be
better.
the one everyone's talking about. I'm Ash. Great to meet you. This here is Dedu. He serves Prince Dimitri.
I have heard that you rescued His Highness. Words cannot express my gratitude. Should you ever require my strength, please know that I will hasten to repay this debt.
Because I will go ahead and say that the reason why Byleth is objectively the better of the two that you can choose, Sylvain has to do with it. And something else that I will go into. If you...
Okay.
I mentioned that you can recruit students from other classes. So, you know, if I choose Blue Lions, I could, you know, recruit Petra at some point, or Linhart, or Kaspar, etc. There are two exceptions to that. Of course, if you are, say, the Blue Lions, and you want to recruit someone from the Black Eagles, you cannot recruit Edelgard, because Edelgard is the, house leader. If you're the Blue Lions, and you want to recruit someone from the Golden Deer, you cannot recruit Claude, because Claude is the leader of the Golden Deer.
Thank you.
There's one other from each house, kind of. If you aren't a Black Eagle, and you want to recruit someone from the Black Eagle house, you cannot recruit, essentially, the second in command, I guess? Like, whoever is most loyal to them. Like, we've talked to Dimitri, and we figured out that Dedu is extremely loyal to Dimitri. No matter what you do, if you are not a Blue Lion, you cannot recruit Dedu, no matter what you do. Same for Hubert with the Black Eagles. If you want to use Hubert, you have to do the Black Eagle route. If you want to use Dedu, you have to do the Blue Lion route. There's a minor exception with the Golden Deer, but I'll go into that when we talk to the Golden Deer.
And who's this? You don't look familiar at all. Do you work here at the monastery? Oh, mercy! Do you think this is that mercenary people have been talking about? Now that I think about it, that does sound like something Dimitri may have said. I suppose you'll be enrolling at the Officers' Academy too, then? Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Mercedes, and this is my best friend.
I'm Minette. It's nice to meet you.
I have heard all about what you did from Prince Dimitri. As a citizen of Fargas, I thank you.
He also said you're quite skilled, and he doesn't just say things like that. I look forward to sparring with you, and beating you.
Felix, must you always speak of fighting right away?
Oh, that's just Felix.
You may call me Ingrid. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance as well, Ingrid. Are you ready for our boy? Does he say it? I don't remember if he says it here.
Well, scored a teaching gig here, did you? Talk about a great first impression. I guess that means I'd better introduce myself properly. I'm Claude von Regan. I'm from the ruling house of the Leicester Alliance, but don't worry too much about all that madness. I'm guessing you don't know which class you'll be teaching yet, do you? I bet you'd like ours. We're not as difficult as the other two. Have you met the folks from the Golden Deer house yet? Care to know more about anyone?
I would love to know more about the Golden Deer. And this is what I was saying. Lycifia here is the youngest character in the game. That is a fact. You can see all of their ages and such when you have them recruited. Actually,
I appreciate your effort.
That's not. Goodness gracious. Roster. Yeah, here we go. So we can see 17, 17, 17, 20. 20? Goodness gracious, I didn't know you were that old. 17, 16, yeah. I'll give a quick slide show of this, just to give you an example of how old everyone is. Yeah, Lycifia's 15. And we don't know how old Byleth is, officially at least.
Well, I guess that means I'm guessing you don't. Have you met the folks from the Golden Deer house yet?
I would, and I'm going to start with you, Claude.
Piqued your interest, have I? As luck would have it, I'm pretty curious about you as well. But what's life without a bit of mystery? Let's just spend the next year or so learning about each other little by little.
Claude is so much fun, and I don't think he says it. Here, at least, but... Oh, that might actually have been his voice actor. I would highly recommend looking up Claude's voice actor. He is an absolute joy. He's so much fun. He takes the role of Claude so seriously that it's just fun. And with him, at one point he made a video, I think before the game came out, where he says, "You, me, Golden Deer, we could be great together." And that line has stuck with me. To go over Claude a little bit, we see, again, he has the same thing, getting 20% more experience. His strength is sword, bow, authority, and flying, which might seem weird. And his weaknesses are lance and faith magic. Lawrence.
He's the heir of Gloucester territory. If you haven't already picked up on it, he's a bit arrogant and fancies himself a ladies' man. That said, deep down he's really devoted and honest. Though I wouldn't mind never hearing him talk about his noble obligations ever again.
Lawrence is definitely down there with my least favorite characters, but hey. Distinguished House is his unique ability, where he deals 2 extra damage while in formation with a battalion. Again, battalions aren't something that we have access to yet, so we'll have to go over that another time. His strengths are lances, dark and black magic, which, again, probably seems a little weird, and riding. His weaknesses are brawling, so you won't see him getting into a fist fight. Raphael.
He comes from a merchant family, but his parents died in an accident. Seems like he's had a rough life. Despite all that, he's just about the most cheerful guy you'll ever meet. His passions are training, eating, and actually that's about it.
Raphael needs a new shirt, but that's besides the point. He is the beefiest boy. His defining ability is Goodie Basket, which, I will be perfectly honest, I could probably count the amount of times I've seen that ability activate on one hand in every single playthrough that I've done, which is a good few playthroughs. His strengths are Axe, Brawling, and Heavy Armor. His weaknesses are bows, black and dark magic, as well as riding. Ignatz.
He's the second son of a merchant family. Since his brother will inherit the business, he's training to become a knight. If you ask me, it doesn't seem like he truly wants to be a knight. He's probably just doing it to please his parents.
Yeah, poor Ignatz. His defining ability is Watchful Eye, which is actually just straight up an ability you can get, which I don't know for sure if it stacks. I would have to double check that. But if it does stack, if you want to make sure that somebody hits, and that's all, Ignatz is your boy. His strength is sword, bow, and authority. His weakness is flying. Lycifia.
Lycifia is the daughter of Count Ordelia, and is probably the youngest student here. But watch out, she gets angry if you treat her like a child. As for me, I do it on purpose. You have to make your own fun in this place, you know?
I'm just gonna straight up say it. If you want a glass cannon, Lycifia is who you're gonna want. Her defining ability, Mastermind, might not seem good, but I can 100% assure you, it makes it so that her skills go up so much faster than you expect, and because of that, she starts gaining abilities and gaining new spells and everything in between so much faster than you would ever expect someone to. And especially early on, that can be crucial. Her strengths are black and dark magic, white magic, and authority. Her weaknesses are swords, lances, axes, and heavy armor.
Marianne is Margrave Edmund's daughter, and that's pretty much all I know about her. She doesn't interact much with other students, so I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of folks here have never even heard her speak.
Marianne is a very shy and quiet girl. Her defining ability is Animal Friend. She loves animals. She will restore 20% HP if she starts her turn, I suppose, while standing next to a flying or cavalry unit. Her strengths are sword, white magic, cavalry, and flying, while her weaknesses are brawling and heavy armor. And here's Hilda. What Claude says about Hilda is so accurate, but also not.
Hilda is the only daughter of Duke Goneril. It seems her father and brother coddle her quite a bit. If you look up lazy in the dictionary, her picture won't be there because she never got around to submitting it. Not too unusual for a noble, I guess.
I'm gonna tell you this now. Hilda has the potential to become one of the strongest units in the game. She can reach 100% crit chance without too much effort. Her defining ability is Advocate. Adjacent male allies deal 3 extra damage during combat. It's okay. Because I can assure you, having another unit deal just 3 extra damage is nothing compared to the amount of slaughter that she is capable of. Her strengths are Lance and Axe. Her weaknesses are... ooh, goodness. Are Faith, Magic, and Authority.
Leone enrolled because she wants to be a mercenary. I think she said that her father is a hunter. She's pretty blunt and as stingy as they come. A habitual saver, too. I think she's hoping to repay her village for helping to send her here.
Leone is special. Some people find her kind of... oh, goodness, sorry about that. Some people can find her kind of annoying, and I could definitely see that. But I think there's a part of her that I just find so fun and sweet, and I just love the tying a jacket around the waist. I think that's just fun. Her defining ability is Rivalry. If a male unit is adjacent, then she deals 2 extra damage and takes 2 less damage. Her strengths are Lance, Bow, and Cavalry, and she has no weaknesses.
What do you think?
And here's where we can take a quick look at the Golden Deer.
Are you someone's guest? The dining hall's that way, if that's what you're looking for.
No, Raphael. That's Captain Gerald's kid. Hi, I'm Leone Pinelli, Captain Gerald's first and greatest apprentice. I'm sure he's told you about me.
Nice to meet you. I'm Raphael Kirsten. Who are you again?
Oh, Raphael. Oh, Lawrence.
Ah, you must be that renowned mercenary. Perhaps you'd like to join me for a cup of tea sometime. My name is Lawrence Hellman Gloucester. You will want to remember it.
Gloucester is another name that I can imagine some people struggling with, and I guess I kind of forgot about it. The Golden Deer House is the exception to what I said before, where if you are Blue Lions, then you can't recruit Edelgard or Hubert. If you're, Golden Deer, you can't recruit Dimitri or Dedu. Golden Deer is a bit of an exception. You can't recruit Claude if you're not Golden Deer, of course. But you can technically recruit everyone in the Golden Deer house.
What do you think?
I put that in quotes, though, because Hilda is excessively difficult to recruit if you're not super careful. I have never personally done it, and I've recruited just about everyone else. Actually, I'm pretty sure I have recruited everyone else. So, it is a bit of an exception, but that doesn't mean that it's easy.
So you're the skilled mercenary who saved Claude, are you?
Oh, you are? It's such an honor to meet you. Ignatz Victor. My parents are Alliance merchants.
And I am Lycifia von Ordelia. Please do not forget it.
At least she said please.
Hey, are you that mercenary? Everyone's been talking about you. I'm Hilda Valentine Goneril, and her name is... Marianne von Edmund. Are you joining the Knights of Saros or something? Well, I look forward to seeing more of you.
I've talked to everyone. I've already made my choice on who I'm going to join, which house I'm going to join. But I still would definitely like to know what other people think of these characters. You get a bit of them here, but there's a lot more to them than you get through just these minor conversations. But I'm gonna go ahead and return to Rhea.
How are you enjoying your time at the Academy thus far?
Just fine.
I hope you have found our halls brimming with the vitality of well-intentioned souls.
I suppose it is time for you to take charge of one of our 3 houses of students. I must note that I am personally against entrusting someone as lacking in trackable history as yourself with such a task. But it is as the Archbishop desires.
Sorry, Sedith, you're not allowed to see my internet browsing history.
The Black Eagles, the Blue Lions, and the Golden Deer. All so different. I hope you've made it a point to get to know each of them.
Since you are new here, we have decided to allow you first pick. Manuela and I will take charge of the remaining 2 houses.
Well, how kind of you. Which house should I choose? The Dresden Empire, the Black Eagle House. A house for students from the Dresden Empire. Many are nobility, and most of them use magic. That is honestly one of the big reasons why I decided to go with the Black Eagles in my first playthrough, just because I enjoy magic. Which is definitely true. 3 of them are capable of being good with... I was about to say capable of using magic. Everyone is capable. 3 of them are good at using magic. Technically 4, but I'll let you figure out who the 4th one is. Holy Kingdom of Fargas, the Blue Lion House. A house for students from the Holy Kingdom, of Fargas. Most value chivalry and excel at military arts. It's a bit vague. I think when it was announced, or when we were going over it, we figured out that most of these guys used lances, which is true. Dimitri, Sylvain, and Ingrid are definitely the ones that excel at lances. Well, Dedue can definitely dabble in it, and you're probably going to want to get Ash to dabble in lances a little bit. Leicester Alliance, the Golden Deer House. A house for students from the Leicester Alliance. As per regional tradition, many are skilled archers, which is also true. Claude is an archer, Ignatz and Leone is an archer. Most of the others aren't really much of an art, because for the others you can kind of push for, oh yeah, you know, you can push for some of them to be more skilled in magic, and others you say, oh, you like a lot of them use lances. There's really only 3 that really go for archery, whereas the others all have their own little bits. And since the Golden Deer is who I'm going to choose, I'm going to go over what they're definitely good with. Claude is definitely going to be one of your power archers. And let's just say that he's going to be more mobile than most of your other archers. And we'll leave it at that. Leone and Ignatz are probably going to end up about the same, though Ignatz has always been really awkward for me. I never know what to make of him. Lycifia is an absolute glass cannon. She is probably going to hit the hardest of most of your units, but she's also very squishy. She cannot take much of a hit. Maybe some magic hits, but that's about it. Raphael, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. He's not going to be dealing a lot of magic damage. I say the exact opposite. He's a tank. He can take a lot of hits, but he can also dish a lot of physical damage back. Hilda is going to be one of your strongest units if you do her right. Again, wording. I'm not going to go into what my plans are for these guys because I'm probably going to be doing some back and forth, and it's going to be a little weird looking, I'm sure. Like, I'll jump into one class just to master it and get a skill, and then I'll jump out to jump into another one to get a skill, and it's probably going to be a little weird. I do that on most of my playthroughs, because if I don't, I feel like I'm not as far along as I could be. Marianne is our healer, and she's a pretty good one, I would say. She, unfortunately, is stuck with a bit of a healer problem that I have, but that's something that we can't really go into right now. And Lawrence is going to be a really interesting case, just for the fact that he's going to start one way, and then do almost a complete 180 at the end. You'll see what I mean. But
So you have chosen the Golden Deer led by Claude, correct?
that is correct. Say hello to our new friends for the next school year.
Your heart has made its choice, then. All I ask is that you guide these open minds with virtue, care, and sincerity.
They are all promising youths who bear the weight of Fodlan's future upon their shoulders. I hope you appreciate what an honor it is to lead them.
Brother? Oh, I am so sincerely sorry. I did not mean to interrupt.
I'm
Or
in the middle
green
of something,
hair.
Flame. Is it urgent?
No, it's nothing. More importantly, who is this?
This is our newest professor at the Academy.
Oh my! A new addition to the Officers' Academy! I am so very pleased to meet you, Professor. I am Sedith's little sister, Flame. I am so happy to make your acquaintance.
Let us focus on the topic at hand. There is something you should be aware of. In a few days' time, there will be a mock battle between the three houses, intended to gauge the current progress of the students. We will be using this battle as an opportunity to ascertain your own abilities as well. Please do not disappoint the Archbishop. That is all.
I think I'll be fine.
Wait, what? Are you really our new homeroom professor?
That's right,
Is that
Hilda.
true? You aren't quite what I had pictured. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean that the way it sounded.
I was sure you'd be roped into joining the Knights.
Don't tell me. You chose this class just to get to know me better, right? I'm flattered, really. Whoops. Now that you're our professor, maybe I should choose my words more carefully.
I don't
Oh,
mind.
well then, since we're pretty close in age and all, I suppose formalities aren't all that necessary.
One
Always
must
gonna love
truly
you,
marvel
Claude.
at the exceptionality of this appointment. Becoming a teacher to students almost the same age as yourself. How unusual. I've heard you are a skilled mercenary, but I cannot shake my discomfort at your new position.
Are you really as strong as they say? Let's see your biceps. I bet I packed on more muscle than you.
No one's
I
gonna doubt that.
Apparently, our new professor was personally recommended by Alois, one of the Knights.
Raphael is all
As far as skill
chin.
goes, I saw it with my own eyes. What's more, Teach here is the child of the most renowned former captain of the Knights of Saros.
I heard. There's no way a child of the captain isn't worthy. It's simply not possible. The captain? Who are you talking about? Captain Gerald, of course. The most notable captain of the Knights of Saros and a peerless mercenary. Huh. It doesn't matter what you think of him. Captain Gerald deserves nothing but respect. Well, after working as a mercenary alongside a father figure such as he, I have high hopes for our professor.
Just because someone is special doesn't mean their children are special too, Lycifia. Assuming that a child is going to be exceptional just because of their lineage is a bad idea.
That's interestingly wise of you, Hilda.
Don't you agree, Marianne? Huh? Oh, yes, I suppose so.
Well, we can find out for ourselves in battle. I can't wait to see what tactics you've learned from the captain.
A battle? Shouldn't we have a welcome party or something first? I'll get the meat.
How savage. I propose a nice conversation over tea instead. I am more than willing to procure some high-quality leaves.
Tea? You can't get to know someone over tea. If there's no meat involved, it's not a party.
Your common sensibilities are grating to my noble ears. Please quiet yourself.
Sorry for the bickering, Teach. As you can see, the Golden Deer House is a rowdy bunch. We're not especially unified. You'll find nobles and commoners alike here, those who are dedicated to their studies alongside slackers. But hey, that just makes your life more exciting, right? I really hope you're looking forward to the year ahead as much as I am.
Oh, okay. And that is our little introduction to the Golden Deer. I would say that... how am I going to... I don't know how I'm going to format the episodes. Oh. There are new places to explore in the monastery. Received 1,000 gold from the Church of Ceres as funding for this month's activities.
Say, while you're here, I'd like to use this device I designed to determine whether the power of a crest resides within you. Won't hurt a bit. Promise. You don't know about crests? Well, allow me to tell you everything. Absolutely everything about them. Is your calendar clear?
Everything.
This will take a while. Crests are a fascinating topic, but before one can dive deeply into said topic, one must first understand what crests are. They are power incarnate. They are said to have been bestowed upon humans by the goddess countless ages ago. They exist within the flesh and are passed down through bloodlines. Those who carry crests may excel at magic, display exceptional strength, or any number of boons. Each crest has its own power, the nature of which is beyond mortal understanding. For now. I suspect as much, yes. But we won't know for sure unless I look into the matter. As I said, crests are passed down through the blood. However, just because someone carries a crest does not necessarily mean their descendants will inherit it as well. Only a scarce few descendants of a crest's bloodline end up inheriting that crest's power. Perhaps one of your ancestors bore a crest, and you just happen to inherit it. That is how a crest usually presents itself, after all.
So, I'm actually glad that Hanneman is going over this, because crests are definitely something that both ties into the lore of this game and a little bit into the gameplay, which I can't really go over it now. I'll probably add in a quick little tidbit at the end to go over the crests which we can see, which, given that we're the Golden Deer, I don't think is very much, but other houses will... I think they have a few more. I'd have to double check. I actually don't 100% remember. But we'll go into it.
Yes, of course. I'll get to the bottom of it straight away. Now then, please go ahead and hold out your arm over this device here. What is this? A pattern I've never seen before. Is it possible an as-yet undiscovered crest has been detected? To think, there are still crests out there that even I am unaware of. How thrilling! Pardon my unrestrained jubilation.
Hanneman's very excited.
I have much to consider. You may leave now.
That's right.
I have more research to do in regard to this crest. Yes, so very much more research. But for now, your work here is done. What could this line here be indicating? Perhaps it represents a lack of symmetry. Or perhaps... What in the world? Oh, I see. It may be connected to that, but to a greater degree than usual.
Dot, dot, dot.
With each moon, professors of the Officers' Academy receive a schedule for the month ahead. It notes the days on which events and missions will take place that month. Pay careful attention to your schedule, so that you may thoughtfully plan what you intend to do each month, and when.
The Monastery Schedule features different events on different days. Each week, you will have one day off when you may choose an activity from the list. Your only option at first will be Explore. Select the calendar with the directional buttons to view the schedule. Alright, so I'm going to end it here, because this is probably the best stopping point that I have at the moment. But there's a few things that I want to go over real quick. Let's go to roster. And if we choose anyone, we can go into a lot of details. We can go over stats, you know, most of these again. Most of these you probably know. Strength affects physical hits, magic affects magic. Dex is what I couldn't remember. It affects hit rate and critical hits, which I guess I possibly should have expected, but I'm glad that I didn't say something and was possibly wrong with it. Speed affects avoidance rate. It also... does it really... So, there's another thing for speed, which I don't think it goes over, unless... Yeah, it doesn't look like... So, if you have... Gosh, it always changes. If you have 5 or more, it's either 5 or more or 10 or more speed than the opponent, you will attack twice instead of once. If it's not within that range, like if it's lower than 10 or lower than 5, then you will only attack once, and then they'll counterattack, of course. If yours is lower than the enemy's by, 5 or 10, then they will get 2 attacks on you. So, it's definitely not bad to have speed. And Charm, which again I always want to call Charisma, raises Gamut Might, Hit Rate, and Avoidance, which, again, we don't have access to at the moment. But when we do, I'll be able to go over that in a little more detail. We have class abilities, which obviously will be linked to our classes. We have Bilious Personal Ability, where this unit and other units gain 1.2 more experience, which, if you do that with, say, Claude, Dimitri, or Edelgard, they can get up to 40% more experience, which is definitely not bad. And then you can equip skills, which definitely helps. This is where your skills will come in, which I'll just go into minor detail about this real quick. You'll gain experience as you use a weapon. Reason, that's what it is. Reason and faith. Gosh. Authority you can't really raise right now unless you do very specific things. And these 3 at the bottom, you cannot raise unless you are currently in a class that uses them. So if you're a unit with heavy armor, every turn you attack or do something, you will gain a little bit of heavy armor skill. Riding, same thing. Flying, same thing. I'm sure you can see these stars here. I will go over those a little bit later. Classes, a lot of these I'm really looking forward to, but I'll go over these at another point. And this is just a lot of very interesting information that you can that you can use for various things. The Explorer lesson and Battle Point, all of this stuff we'll go over a little bit later. But if you were paying attention, you see that we have a crest. It's faded right now because we don't know much about it, and the game doesn't want to spoil or something that it doesn't want it to spoil something that we might need to know for later. But if we get another example, the minor crest of Regan is what Claude has, which he's, a part of House Regan. A minor crest inherited from Regan of the 10 elites sometimes restores HP equal to 30% of the damage dealt when using combat arts. This is another thing that you have to keep in mind with a lot of allies. When a unit has a crest, which, Claude has right here, Lawrence also has one. Not all units will have a crest. I will go ahead and say that right now. The minor crest of Gloucester, House Gloucester's minor crest inherited from Gloucester of the 10 elites, occasionally raises might during magic attacks. That is very important because if that can lean you into a certain build path that you might not have thought of before. Because let's say you build Lawrence into, say, because he's good at lance and riding, let's say you build him into a cavalry unit. Well, that just means that you're not going to get any use out of the minor crest of Gloucester. Raphael does not have one. Ignatz does not have one. Lycifia has 2. And I'm not going to go into that because that's something that we would need to find out through story bits. But there is a reason for this, and this is definitely not something that is usual. I will say that now. The minor crest of Karen. The House Karen's minor crest. Inherited from Karen of the 10 elites. Sometimes raises might when using combat arts. And Lycifia also has the crest of Gloucester, which we just went over. Oops. And there's a big difference. Lawrence has the minor crest of Gloucester, whereas Lycifia just has the crest of Gloucester. From a gameplay perspective, a major crest will usually just simply have a higher chance of activating, or have slightly bigger numbers. But there are also story bits for it. So let's say someone has a major crest, or like just a regular crest instead of... A minor crest usually means that while they do have the crest, it's something that they have that's been passed many times, and the bloodline is not as strong. So, a major crest would imply that the bloodline is still very strong, and they have a very close relation to the original crest bearer. So that's something that you want to pay attention to. Marianne also has a crest here, but this is a bit of a story thing, which we can't really know about right now. Hilda also has one. Minor crest of Goneril. House of Goneril's minor crest, inherited from Goneril of the 10 elites, allows combat arts to sometimes prevent counterattacks. Leone does not have one, and that's all the crests that we have access to right now. So, for now... Oh. Okay, and, the only other thing I'll just go over really quick is online. Online doesn't do very much. It does a minor thing in battle, which I'll go over later, but for the most part, it's used for statistics. It tells you what most people who are on the same month as you, or have been on the same month as you, what they have chosen. Obviously, there's only one thing we can choose here, so it'll say that's 100%. But then it also will show us a few other statistics for this month. who's been recruited this month, who's been to tea parties this month, just being in general activities this month, who's gotten gifts this month, etc., etc., etc. Yes, we can pet the dogs and such. And we do also have a sauna. This video, I'm sure, is going to be very, very long, but it's fine. I've gone over most of the information that I want to go over, so I'm going to go ahead and save it here. I'm going to save it here. We've chosen all of our stuff, and we will be going over more stuff and actually exploring more of the monastery next time.